down, customers can continue running them without their support. The long version depends on what kind of transaction is being made. As you can see, it's not easy to explain in a soundbite. But if you notice, we don't make a distinction between single-player and multiplayer games. That's because the law doesn't either. So why make this even harder? Both the movement and the law are making distinctions on how games are sold. Also, that part he said about it affecting all live service games? Yes and no.
Okay, so we're back again. Welcome back, everybody. Well, earlier, I started the stream, but my computer encountered a problem, unfortunately. And I'm hoping that the problem is no more. Anyway, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the game. The game is Flyff. I created a new character, and this new character is in a different server, and the server it's called the event server. And the reason why I created a character here is because I was told that leveling up here is faster than the other servers. Let's go and see if that is true or not. Okay, I guess I need to talk to this guy.
クラリス1の男前、ルイのジェネラルショップへようこそ。クラリス1の男前、ルイのジェネラルショップへようこそ。いらっしゃいませ。また来てくれ。
Okay, so the arrow is still pointing to him. Okay, so the arrow pointed to where I should go. There are so many players here. I'm having a hard time finding or seeing the NPCs. Okay, I got a bunch of items and I got a pair of wings. Okay, so now I just need to level up. Okay, I got a long sword. Okay, what is this? Defeat these monsters to get a permanent damage bonus against them. Ah. Okay, so now I need to meet Losha. I'm going to return and talk to Losha. Hello, Losha. Losha is somewhere here. I wonder where she is. As you can see, there are so many people here. Okay, so the quest is to beat small eye bats. Okay, it looks like I can learn this. Okay, I need to return to Luda. Okay, next is to defeat small mushpang. Okay, I got a green boot, but I need to be level 5. Okay, level 5. That means I can equip this thing. And it looks like I have a shield. Okay, I have 8 stat points. Okay, I guess that's it. No more quests.
これでどう？
What happened? How did I die? There was a giant brooding. Oh crap, I did not see that. I did not see that there was a giant brooding. Okay, I think I got a long sword +3.
えい、これでどう？えい、
Okay, I think I got a pair of boots. There you go. Lip boots. This one is equipped. Silk. Okay, this one is a little bit better.
Are you thinking of buying a game? Please use my cheat code in the description.
これでどう？えい、これでどう？これでどう？えい、これでどう？ これでどう？
Okay, we got a pike helmet, but I can't wear it. Okay, I got a leaf suit. Okay, so I got the look at that. There is a what do you call this? A set effect. Now I need to get the leaf helmet and the leaf gauntlets. Not the leaf sword. Okay, I got a leaf sword. I can't equip this until level 10. Okay, map. Let's go to Pique Turtle. Ah no, let's go here. Denim Urchin. Okay, looks like my inventory is full. Okay, I'm going to do some selling. Okay, so my legs are aching. I'm just going to stand up for a few seconds. Okay. Okay, let's sort it again. Okay, so I was wondering how to get a pet. So I did an internet search, and it says there that I have to buy an egg with real money. So I guess everyone who has a pet spent real money on the game. Well, good for them.
Wisman says, buying a game. Please use my G2A affiliate link in the description below. Disclosure, you will get a commission from your purchase. Thank you.
えいえいこれでどうえいえいこれでどう これでどう？これでどう？
Okay, so I'm trying to get to level 10 before I take a break. And it looks like I don't have any buffs. I'm going to go back to Buff Pang and request for a buff. Okay, so that is what you call lag.
これでどう？
Okay, so they're not dropping anything.
これでどう？これでどう？
Okay,
これでどう？これでどう？
Okay, one more Demian and my character will level up. Okay, so there you go. I'm going to take a break from here and maybe continue later. So in a little bit over an hour, I got to level 10. I don't think that is fast. Is that fast? Okay, so I thought it was going to be fast, but or maybe I'm just really slow. Anyway, guys, the game is Flyff Universe. It's free to play and you can play it on your web browser. The game is I don't know. It's a leveling up game. There is no quest. I don't know if there is any story, but yeah, it's free to play. So guys, be right back.
I really don't want to do this next part, but it's become a liability for the campaign for me not to. Our biggest critic by far is YouTuber and streamer Pirate Software, who goes by Thor. If your only exposure to Stop Killing Games has been this video, then you've been misinformed. This video is by someone who does not understand the campaign, has been trying to stop it, and has been making up what it is about. I am not saying that lightly. I will prove it in a minute. Now you might be thinking, okay, so some YouTuber got something wrong on the internet. So what? See, that was my thinking too. The problem is how incredibly influential this YouTuber has been. Remember that list of coverage on the campaign? Well, best I can tell, Thor's coverage has been bigger than literally anyone else on those lists, except Asmongold. And the only video Asmongold had on this bigger than Thor's was about Thor's video. So for all practical purposes, Thor here has been the #1 voice on the campaign, and he's been lying about what it is. That's a bit loaded though. In this case, I'm using the second definition of lie. I have no evidence it's the first. This video came out right as we were building momentum, then except for one boost in Germany, the signatures started drying up like clockwork. This put me in kind of a no-win scenario too, because if I ignored it, then a lot of people were going to get misinformed about the campaign. But if I did a response video, which is not something I wanted to do anyway, then it might look like drama farming, which could understandably turn off a lot of people from the campaign, because it's not about that at all. So I quickly made this video trying to clear up all misconceptions and concerns about the initiative with timestamps for everyone's questions, hoping the truth would eventually come out. I can see now that was a mistake. I should have just embraced the drama. To this day, I'm still getting frequent comments and emails about the same falsehoods about the campaign that originated in this video. Well, now I have nothing to lose. If we don't get the signatures, then none of this matters anyway. So if this campaign is failing because of me not talking about this, then I'll at least correct history here on the way down. I'll get this over with and go over what I think are the biggest points of Pirate Software's videos. I'm not going to go over everything because collectively Thor has made hours of video on both me and the movement. I'd be here forever. Believe me, I could address smaller things too, and kind of already have. Alright, let's start. Okay, point number 1. Thor does not understand what Stop Killing Games is. Here it is in his words.
So for those who don't understand, the Stop Killing Games initiatives is basically we don't want single-player games to have DRM that the developers can turn off and thus render the single-player games inactive anymore. This is what they want to change. They need to be specific that they're talking about single-player games that do not need a server to support them.
No.
And as much as they want it to be about specifically games where it is a single-player game that has always online functionality, it would impact every live service game that exists, instead of just targeting single-player, always online games.
No, that's not what it is. Stop Killing Games includes single-player games, but nothing about it is specific to them. He completely made that up, and I have no idea where he got that impression. This is what I mean. It's harder for gamers to understand this because they come with so many assumptions. It's like that saying about doctors being the worst patients. So let's clear this up. It's the first line on the website. Stop Killing Games is a consumer movement started to challenge the legality of publishers destroying video games they have sold to customers. But the movement includes all this stuff from earlier, and he was mostly talking about the initiative. Well, the short version is the initiative is about requiring publishers to have end-of-life plans for games they've sold to customers in the future. So when they shut them down, customers can continue running them without their support. The long version depends on what kind of transaction is being made. As you can see, it's not easy to explain in a soundbite. But if you notice, we don't make a distinction between single-player and multiplayer games. That's because the law doesn't either. So why make this even harder? Both the movement and the law are making distinctions on how games are sold. Also, that part he said about it affecting all live service games? Yes and no. It would affect most live service games in the future, but the initiative is not retroactive. So that's one thing Thor doesn't understand, but he also seems to think this is about converting multiplayer games to single player. Once again, he made that up, and I have no idea why he thought that.
Transitioning an entire multiplayer server-side game into a single player video game, which means rebalancing the entire experience around single player, rebuilding everything in the entire game. How are you going to do that with Final Fantasy XIV? You're just going to make all the raids soloable? Imagine the day that World of Warcraft shuts down and suddenly you have to make it a single player game for every individual that ever bought the game. That's what they're asking for.
No.
Because they would have to sunset live service games as a single player experience. The idea that suddenly you need to make every single live service game playable single player offline? No, dude.
Correct. No. This one is particularly baffling to me because I've heard most counter arguments before, but until Thor, I've never heard this one. That we want the industry to convert all multiplayer games into single player ones. I keep saying it, you never know where gamers are going to take this.
Nowhere in there does it say that it's directly targeting always online single player games.
Oh, he's so close. He's so close to getting it.
It is vague, and because of that, it will impact.
He never has that light bulb moment. Well, he is correct in that statement. It's almost as if that's not what the initiative is asking for. But those were his streams with a smaller audience. What does he say in his big YouTube video with over 1 million views that he had time to research?
If we're trying to kill off the practice of developers putting together a live service game, pitching it as a single player experience, and then taking away support in the future.
Now he's changed it again and is making up how it's about single player games are advertised. What is he doing?
It needs to be specific about the business practice it's trying to defeat, which is specifically companies that are doing this under the guise of it being a single player game, but adding online only functionality that is not necessary and doesn't add any gameplay elements. That's the problem.
No, that's not it at all.
And there are some people that'll say, well, just make it all single player.
Like
well,
you?
I've explained that that doesn't make any sense in the first place. If you're making it all single player, you'd have to carve off all of that, and it's developer time and money. These are two different ideologies, and that's okay to have two different ideologies. I just won't agree with it.
But those aren't the ideologies. Nothing in the initiative is asking to convert games to single player.
Nowhere in there does it say that it's directly targeting always online single player games.
Yeah, so why does he keep bringing it up? This is a total red herring.
If we don't like the idea of live service games as a whole, I get it. Don't play live service games then. Don't agree to those terms.
No, he's getting a new thing wrong now. We're not against them existing. We're against them being destroyed with no recourse for the customer. Just use logic. If we didn't like them in the first place, why would we care if they're being destroyed? He says he gets it, but he doesn't.
Let's talk about the actual bad business practices. In the case that a studio is making a live service game and they sell it to you as a product, they say that you are purchasing the game or you are buying the game, when in reality you're actually purchasing or buying a license to that game. I think that we should be fighting about that. The initiative is not trying to call that out specifically. It's trying to say that all games need to stay in a functional, playable state.
Yes!
Which is not calling out the language that is being used to manipulate the player. Call that out specifically.
Okay, I don't know if he's doing this intentionally. I'll be charitable and assume he's not. But this is some serious obfuscation. He's complaining that the initiative isn't focused on another topic he made up. I mean, what is that logic? Hey, the initiative doesn't address how Capcom changed the look of Dante in the Devil May Cry reboot either. That may as well be what he's saying there. I am not aware of a game on the planet with a license agreement that says you are not buying a license. Our problem is not with licenses failing to inform people. Blizzard says they can take away your purchase for no reason. That sounds pretty clear to me. Our problem is those terms are so hostile to consumers and the medium that they should be taken off the table entirely. This needs regulation. Forget video games. If you look at basic commerce for hundreds of years, when you paid money, you either got to keep what you paid for, or if it was a service, you were told when your access ends. The vast majority of online-only games do neither of those. The games industry is trying to upend basic commerce. I think you have to go back to feudalism before neither of those things are true. Why even have consumer laws if you have no rights?
If you try to tell me that every studio needs to run their live service game indefinitely or not want to run one at all, then no one's going to run them.
Oh no! He wheeled out that line about publishers having to support the game forever. He was literally watching the video earlier where it says it won't do that in big letters. That wasn't enough. We just can't stop gamers from going there, even when we spell it out. I admit, guys, this part hurts. To see the biggest voice on this issue get it wrong again and again and again, then put that same wrong information on blast to a far bigger audience than we can reach. It hurts. He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand what we're asking for. Now, to be fair, it sounded like he was getting a little closer in this video. Yeah, despite being called 2, it's at least the 4th video he did on this.
You want that to stay in a functional playable state. That means the devs have to release either server binaries or somehow carve off the game to be a single-player experience now. That's
better, but he's still talking about converting the single player right to the end. He never completely got it. So Pirate Software did not understand the initiative. Maybe still doesn't. That means the majority of his critique is about things it would not do, like kill all MMOs.
If that passes, enjoy never playing an MMO again for the rest of your life and taking away from every other person that plays MMOs.
It really wouldn't. And I've explained why in that video, but the short version is companies would have to stop liking money for that to happen. Lots of money. But his number one criticism is that he thinks the initiative is vague.
Incredibly vague. Too vague. Very vague. Damn vague. It's vague. It's vague. That is vague. Too vague. Vaguely written. Vague. Incredibly vague. Vaguely worded. Vague. 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 This is vague.
This goes on. Well, from Thor's perspective, his logic is pretty sound for this part. But the thing about logic is it's only as good as your assumed truths. And he's said multiple times now that he thinks the initiative is only about single-player games. So since he's expecting the thing he made up, but that's not what the initiative is asking for, he thinks it's vague. Because for him, it is.
Nowhere in there does it say that it's directly targeting always online single-player games. It is vague.
Yeah, in fact, if we look at that long definition again, let's add a subsection just for Thor. Single-player games with an online DRM check. Those would already fall under this broader category. So Thor is expecting this. Again, I don't know why, but instead he's seeing an initiative that covers all of this. That's why he calls it vague 50 times. The thought that we want what we're asking for and not the thing he made up seems to have never entered his head. The initiative is trying to stop the destruction of games. That's the whole point. It covers the types of games most in need of saving. If we only covered this tiny subsection, that would save maybe 1% or less of games that get destroyed. This would do almost nothing. I'm not saying there isn't one, but I literally can't think of a game that meets this criteria. Every game I know of with single-player content that's been destroyed has been designed to run server-side, not locally. Older ones like that tend to have the DRM cracked, which is not an ideal solution, but that does stop game destruction. And newer ones with Denuvo or something tend to have it removed by end of life. So I say less than 1%, but this might save 0% of games. I'm not sure. The initiative is actually not that vague. Though to be fair, some people did get hung up on this part. A reasonably playable or functional state. True, that is not 100% specific. There are reasons for that. You know how in law, police can stop a suspect with reasonable suspicion? Or a jury finds someone guilty beyond all reasonable doubt? That's because the number of situations you face are so varied that the law has to inject some common sense somewhere. It's the same with games. A multi-million-dollar MMO is a different animal from a budget arena shooter. It won't work making highly specific laws. That's one half of it. The other half of it is this sentence is an olive branch to publishers. I've heard complaints this isn't specific enough. Okay, but you know what the alternative to this would be? Here, I'll show you. The game must be fully functional and contain 100% of all features as advertised.
Okay, so we're back. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I just took a break. And before we continue, let's take a look at what's happening with Stop Killing Games, the initiative. The initiative needs 1 million signatures. And look at that. Do you see that number? It's almost at 600,000K. Let's go. If you are a gamer, okay, if you are a gamer and you don't want your games killed by publishers, by taking away your access to the game or games you bought, well, you need to sign this initiative, especially if you are in the EU. Again, this is only for the EU, but the EU has, what do you call this? A big slice of the gaming market, which means if this push through or if this moves forward, it will not only change the gaming industry in the EU, it will change, hopefully, for the better, gaming all over the world. There you go, guys. Go check it out. Again, if you are in the EU, if you are outside of the EU, but you know people that are in the EU, go tell them about this initiative and ask them to sign it for you. Okay. Let's go find a video to react to. Let's see here. He won't stop killing games. Let's go check this out. The end of killing games. Oh, this was like 4 days ago. And this was like yesterday. Yesterday, all my games were alive, but now they were killed by the publisher. Oh, I believe. Anyway, let's go check this out. Invidious is checking if I'm a bot or not.
And there is an initiative.
Okay, so we are going to react. Excuse me. We are going to react to this video by Asmongold, and the title is "He Won't Stop Killing Games." Who? Who is he talking to? Who is he referring to? Who wouldn't stop killing games? Let's find out by watching the video. Also, guys, disclaimer: if you want to watch the video without me talking over it, all you have to do is go to Asmongold's YouTube channel and watch it there. And as you can see here, this is the face of a victim. I don't understand victims. They would do something shitty that people didn't like because it was shitty. And if they are criticized, or if you say to them, "Hey dude, what you did is shitty," guess what? They will flip a switch, and from becoming the aggressor, okay, from aggressor to victim. Amazing. These people are amazing. I'm going to assume that this guy is a woke leftist communist. I'm just going to assume that, okay? I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comment section. Maybe he just really don't like stop killing games because he knows as a game developer planning on making more live service games, it will affect him in the future. Also, Stop Killing Games is not retroactive. They're not asking for end-of-life plans on old games. What they're asking is end-of-life plans for future games. Games that are still being developed and games that are going to be developed and released in the future.
And there is an initiative that has been aiming to fight back against a lot of these practices that I think really need some big overhaul. And
It's consumer protection laws.
So basically, it's Asmongold reacting to Moist Critical's video, and now I'm reacting to it.
It's not about what's in terms of service.
It's a reaction to a reaction to a reaction.
Having the ability to choose what's going to happen with their own stuff.
initiative that I think a lot of you are probably very familiar with. It's called Stop Killing Games.
That would be a good
and I followed it since its inception. I've talked about it on stream quite a few times.
So have I.
No, this is my first video going over it. And I regret that now because I see it wasn't going as well as I thought it was. Admittedly, I didn't follow...
I think it's gone very well. I'll be real. Like, almost 500,000 signatures is a tremendous success.
But for those that don't know anything about Stop Killing Games...
It doesn't matter, Asmon.
...his own words, that way you can get a...
It doesn't matter because it did not reach 1 million. And if the initiative
like that,
didn't get
pinky out, you know, Snoop
1 million signatures, then
people don't even really know what this is.
the EU Commission
Pirate software.
will not bother with it.
Oh, jeez.
If the initiative gets 900,000 signatures, guess what? It still did not reach the 1 million required signatures for the
I'll pause right there.
I guess, schedule it for discussion or take a look at it. I don't exactly know how the EU Commission initiative or the EU initiative works,
I can see that, yeah.
but I'm pretty sure those in the EU knows.
Money to own. I think that is a very understandable, very reasonable take, very agreeable. Now I want to quickly jump to a different spot in the video because I think it's important to have this in the beginning because it's something a lot of...
Unfortunately, my voice is cracking.
It comes from someone that is just wrong about it. It's the Pirate Software Commission. Ross
It's basically my allergy, so I'll need to find my
says that he didn't plan on
antihistamine and maybe
be seen as using this for
take one because
it would start to make the movement look less...
my voice is gone again.
It should have been more of just like a trauma social content type thing. But he finally starts talking about pirate software here because it's at the end of the life cycle of this initiative and it's not looking promising. So he's willing to do anything to try and set the record straight.
There's Mike.
Back to the movement because the damage pirate software did to it through his video was...
Do I need to modulate my voice so that it will not crack?
Points where Pirate Software's audience... I have that. What the fuck? What the fuck?
What do you have?
Same one.
What do you have, Asmongold? What do you have? It's still cracking. Even if I try to modulate my voice, it's still cracking.
Holy fuck! I didn't even know that. Same room? Yeah, what the fuck? That's kind of straight. Damn. Is he in your house? I guess so.
Okay, so they were talking about this round thing.
Okay, so anyway, I forgot what I said. Oh, yeah.
What Asmongold was saying, he got distracted, by the way. He got distracted because he saw the round thing, and
I mean, now people don't like Thor.
it seems that he has the same round thing.
And that video was one of the first points of difference that he had with his audience. You guys remember this?
Not understand what Stop Killing Games is. Here it is in his words.
Okay, that's fine.
So for those who don't understand, the Stop Killing Games initiatives
SKG
is basically we don't want single-player games
No.
to have DRM that the developers can turn off and thus render the single-player games inactive anymore. This is what they want to change. They need to be specific that they're talking about single-player games that do not need a server to support them.
No.
And as much as they want it to be about specifically games, whereas a single-player game that has always online functionality, it would impact every live service game that exists. Instead of just targeting single-player, always online games.
No, that's not what it is.
No.
Stop Killing Games includes single-player games, but nothing about it is specific to them. He completely made that up. And I have no idea where he got that impression. It's the first line on the website. Stop Killing Games is a consumer movement started to challenge the legality of publishers destroying video games they have sold to customers. But the movement includes all this stuff from earlier, and he was mostly talking about the initiative.
Yes.
He didn't even get the Cliff Notes summary right. Ross is correct. This has nothing to do with just single-player only games that require an online connection. That when the online connection is severed, you lose access to the game. They need to be more specific in their language about it being single-player, always online connectivity games. When that's just not what it's about. Like, they're not being specific about that because that's not what they're specifically targeting.
It's
about the whole practice of destroying games that consumers have already purchased and having no end-of-life plans for games that are being sunset. So, for example, The Crew. The Crew is an example everyone is going to reference and talk about because Ubisoft is still currently in a lawsuit battling against it for what happened with this game.
Yes.
I've yapped about it quite a bit, so I'm not just going to regurgitate that. I'm sure a lot of you already know the story about it. But basically, you buy The Crew, Ubisoft pulls the plug on the servers, you can't play The Crew anymore. Now it's just an old, wet dream of what it once was. And they are facing a lawsuit. And while this is in the umbrella of Stop Killing Games, it is not the only thing stopping.
Ross is the EU version of Asmongold, while Moist Critical is the better-looking version of Asmongold.
That is a component of it, but not the entire focus.
Yeah, of course, right? I mean, obviously, that's it.
Well, the short version is the initiative is about requiring publishers to have end-of-life plans for games they've sold to customers in the future. So when they shut them down, customers can continue running them without their support. So that's one
And
thing.
this is something that affects online games and also offline games, or single-player games.
Thor doesn't understand,
Yeah.
but he also seems to think this is about converting multiplayer games to single player.
Transitioning an entire multiplayer server-side game into a single-player video game, which means rebalancing the entire experience around single player, rebuilding everything in the entire game. How are you going to do that with Final Fantasy XIV? You're just going to make all the rigs soloable?
I'm going to say this again. Final Fantasy XIV will not be affected by stop killing games because it's not retroactive.
Sunset live service games as a single-player experience. The idea that suddenly you need to make...
I don't think that it was ever stated that it needed to be sunset as a single player experience. I don't think anybody ever said that. I mean, again, like the publisher maintaining the server seems like that would be like a logical question that you would ask. But making every game single player, I don't really see why you'd need to think about that, considering there's so many locally run servers for all kinds of games, including WoW.
Every single live service game playable single-player offline? No, dude.
Correct. No.
This part is more confusing than Finnegan's Wake, because nowhere in anything on Stop Killing Games has this even been like a talking point from anyone besides Pirate Software. I don't know where he pieced this puzzle together. Like I don't get it. Like if I'm gonna try and like really reach here and give like a charitable explanation for this take, maybe he's extrapolating based on the idea that if publishers have to have end-of-life plans for their games, that includes MMOs, where once the game is getting sunset, you're pulling the plug on it.
Yeah,
you really need to turn the game over to the community in a playable state, accessible state, like give the code to them. Thus, it turned it into a single-player experience. So the onus would be on the developers to rebalance their game to be a single-player experience for them. I guess I have no idea. That still just doesn't.
Well, I think also another reason why that discussion was happening is that a lot of the conversation around
Again, guys, I'm going to repeat this like a broken record. Dawn of the Avatar is an example of an MMORPG that was planned to have an offline mode. So what will happen if Stop Killing Games moves forward? What could happen is something like Shroud of the Avatar. As much as Shroud of the Avatar is a failed MMO,
that really is outlandish.
if the server eventually shuts down, you can still play the game because when it was being developed,
Why would the developers need to?
the developers
They would just turn over
and the community had the foresight to add or
That's the whole point. They're not indefinite.
in the development plan add an offline mode, so you can still play it even if the online servers
Tweak the game to
gets shut down by the developer or publisher.
Had a community server, then the community server would do that themselves. Like you have all kinds of WoW private servers that have solo raids and all kinds of weird bullshit in them now. So really, it's not something that the developer would really need to do, because as long as people were able to host and run their own servers, this could be done by the community for the community.
I really do not understand that one. But apparently a lot of people respond to that talking point from Pirate Software as something that Stop Killing Games was asking for and how unreasonable it was. Which, if that's what Stop Killing Games was asking for, it would be unreasonable.
Yeah.
But that's not what it's asking for.
Nowhere in there does it say that it's directly targeting always online single-player games.
Oh, he's so close. He's so close to getting it.
It is vague, and because of that, it will happen.
Uh-oh.
He never has that light bulb moment. Well, he is correct in that statement. It's almost as if that's not what the initiative is asking for.
I know this part
Yeah,
is
and this was an outcome of the dialogue around it whenever it came out. Because like whenever this video came out, I watched the same video myself, and a lot of people were drawing a distinction between how would this apply to single-player games versus multiplayer games. I think that's probably why he was talking about it. But like Ross is right that it applies to all games, and it was a dichotomy that was never actually. It was created by the community and not by the actual initiative, if that makes sense. So there was a community conversation about that difference, but the initiative never stated or explained the difference themselves.
and just reinforcing that he doesn't know what the Stop Killing Games movement is about. But I have to just show you this because it is so fascinating, because he himself literally calls out that Stop Killing Games at no point explicitly mentions single-player always online games or anything like that. And for some reason, instead of following the breadcrumbs that would naturally lead him to the conclusion of, oh, maybe I misunderstood, maybe because it's absent here, that's not what this is actually about. Instead, he uses it as a criticism against the Stop Killing Games initiative entirely, saying it's just too vague, it's way too vague. The reason it is not explicitly stated there is because that is not what the whole initiative is about. It is not specific.
It's also because an initiative like that that is legally defined by a governing body. Like basically, we're not like this initiative is not legal text. The initiative is something that we are effectively trying to communicate to developers, or sorry, to the government, in order for them to translate this initiative into legal text.
The government is the one, or I guess the EU Congress is the one, or legislators are the ones
they're trying to achieve is
who will create the legislation.
And it would be debated between probably dozens of lawyers whenever it would be discussed.
Exactly. It's not a law. Exactly.
It's not a law. It's to start the conversation. Yes, clearly.
Exactly. Again. Stop the Initiative is a conversation starter.
But those were streams with a smaller audience. What does he say in his big YouTube video with over 1 million views that he had time to research?
If we're trying to kill off the practice of developers putting together a live service game, pitching it as a single-player experience, and then taking away support in the future,
Now he's changed it again and is making up how it's about single-player games are advertised. What is he doing?
it needs to be specific about the business practice it's trying to defeat, which is specifically companies that are doing this under the guise of it being a single-player game, but adding online-only functionality that is not necessary and doesn't add any gameplay elements. That's the problem.
No, that's not it at all.
This is a really strong section from Ross here, because the clips that you saw moments ago were from his stream. When he took
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's a component to it, but it's not the entire thing. I mean, again, like and there would be like, for example, the way that you would run a single-player game would be different than the way that you would run a multiplayer game. Like, for example, like giving players the code for a game would be less necessary and less important if you're just running a game like Dark Souls 1 or Hades or something like that. So like, it's just simply one permutation of it. But there's really about probably 4 or 5 of different types of games.
more time to watch it and digest it, he still came back in that video misrepresenting it. Like, it never dawned on him. Like, on the stream, he could write it off as like, oh, he didn't grasp it in the moment, maybe later on he did. Well, then he made the video where he still was talking about things that are just not what Stop Killing Games was about, and this was the one that really blew up and really started to kind of dismantle the Stop Killing Games momentum.
If we don't like the idea of live service games as a whole, I get it. Don't play live service games then. Don't agree to those terms.
No, he's getting a new thing wrong now.
I think that the idea of not agreeing to certain terms is I don't like that mindset. And the reason why I don't like the mindset is because you could make that argumentation to justify any type of consumer unfriendly practice that's ever existed. The fact is that certain things consumers should not be able to consent to because they're just simply not in the consumer's best interest. And that's why you need government and you need to have regulations. And I know some people act like regulation is some kind of evil fucking evil spirit word, but the reality is that the computer you're using, the monitor that you're looking at, the phone that you're on, everything that you're using is a product of infinitely many Russian nesting dolls of regulations. Between distribution, merchandising, electricity, wattage, functionality, like everything. So everything like this is regulated. So the entire concept about this is about regulation being bad, completely.
That's why if you think you're free,
about water.
if you think you're free, you're wrong.
No, he's getting a new thing wrong now. We're not against them existing, we're against them being destroyed with no recourse for the customer.
Pirate Software then goes on to talk about like the business practice of misleading consumers into thinking that what they're buying is a product as opposed to a license to a product, which is a totally separate thing, and then he criticizes
just because they rename something doesn't mean that it's a good idea or that it's good for consumer. Maybe this is like a fucking socialism take, but if a business practice has no upside for the customer, then I don't really think it should exist. Why should a business practice exist at all if it has no upside for the customer?
Killing Games for not being specific about that thing that he is bringing up, as opposed to what Stop Killing Games is talking about. So he's using that against them for some reason, and then Ross goes into like the license talk.
Our problem is not with licenses failing to inform people. Blizzard says they can take away your purchase for no reason.
No, I think that's bullshit. They shouldn't be able to do that. If they do, they should have to give you your money back. There's somebody saying they don't have the knowledge to understand the problem. This is about giving away the code. So this is one thing that a lot of people might not understand is that you don't need to be an expert in coding to realize that you're getting scammed. Just because somebody knows a lot about coding and they understand it better, I think Pirate Software probably understands coding better than me, Ross, or Charlie. I would assume that to be the case. But again,
It's not about giving away the code. That's protected by the copyright. It's protected by copyright laws.
But does that mean that we can't ask for safer cars and safer airplanes at better prices that are reasonable? No. Or medicine or something like that. So the reality is that, yes, while somebody might have more knowledge in a topic, that doesn't necessarily mean that knowledge overrides other people's desire to be treated fairly. And I think if you applied this logic to other situations where people don't have that knowledge in, it would become immediately true that that's the case.
That's pretty clear to me. Our problem is those terms are so hostile to consumers and the medium that they should
And
be
that's the thing, is that just because you put something in your terms of service, the terms of service does not override the law.
taken off the table entirely.
Yeah, it's not
This
like
needs
cancels
regulations.
it out.
Forget video games.
That's how it works.
If you look at basic commerce for hundreds of years, when you paid money, you either got to keep what you paid for, or if it was a service, you were told when your access ends.
Yes.
The vast majority of online-only games do neither of those.
He's exactly right. That is a huge problem. Now, Pirate Software is correct here about these companies that will mislead consumers.
I don't think that Ross's solution to that would be sufficient, because the developer could say that the game will be live for at least 1 year, and then that could give them an out later on, and it would create the same problem. You'd need to have more inclusive language to avoid situations like that, where companies create dishonest timeframes in order to avoid this responsibility. And this is something that the lawyers would figure out. But again, this is something that you derive from an initiative. A specific date, yeah.
Through this fraudulent advertising of what you're actually buying, because in a lot of cases, you don't own any of the shit that you're buying. It is pretty much a rental. You get a permission slip to access the content. That is an issue, and not making it abundantly clear to consumers.
I think that entire practice is something that should be reevaluated. A license is a construct. This is a legal construct that's created by people. This is different than ownership. Like, owning something is having it in your hand. A license is something that is theoretical. It doesn't exist in any sort of physical sense. And because of that, I think that we should really reevaluate what a license means. Why is it okay that we've turned every single product into a license that can be revoked, removed, or taken away from you with really no recourse to the customer? Like, that seems like a very imbalanced relationship in my mind. What about a driver's license? A driver's license affects other people's lives. There's a higher standard of conduct that you would require that from. And also, that's with the government. And the government can't just take your driver's license away for no reason, as far as I know. Like, you have to violate certain laws.
That is what you are buying is a problem, and so too is...
So someone equates a driver's license to a license for products or, for
totally different
intellectual IP. Intellectual property.
In addition to game, you're not actually buying.
Oh my goodness.
You also don't know how long that's going to last. Again, to go back to console, that shit lasted less than a fucking, fucking rainstorm, basically. Like, there's just so many problems. So I don't know why Pirate Software would be so harsh on Stop Killing Games for not addressing specific things that he himself is bringing up.
I think the reason why Thor was so hostile towards it is because he thought that it was unfair towards developers, and Thor is a developer, and so he's taking that perspective.
Hey, I said that many times.
From the perspective of a
because Ross is on the side of the consumer.
Which, again,
Ross is looking into it
consume content about video games
in the eyes of a consumer, while Pirate Software is looking at it as a game developer.
Making compute. It really is a video that did significant damage to an actually positive initiative that aimed to help consumers in the video game space. All based on his complete misrepresentation of it, which was a complete mess.
People said his perspective was wrong even if it's from the developer. I didn't say that it was right. The majority of what he said I disagreed with even back then. You can go back and watch the video. And so this is something that I've been completely consistent with the entire time. Also, like, again, I think if a product doesn't exist in a way that's beneficial for a customer, then it shouldn't exist. Like, there are a lot of parasitic types of like contracts. Like for example, like credit cards are a great example of this. Like, is it in the best interest of the public that the government will legally force you to pay MasterCard or Visa 30% interest? Because again, you got to keep in mind that all of these companies and all of these rules can only really be enforced by the government. Like the government are the ones that really make this decision, not the company. The company says this is against our terms of service, but if the government says we're just not going to enforce that, then it effectively doesn't matter. You see what I'm saying? So the issue really is about the government enforcing it. It's kind of like when Nintendo sends somebody a DMCA, the DMCA doesn't come through Nintendo, it comes through the government or the patent office or copyright office of the government. So the government are really the ones that make these decisions. Or choose not to make these decisions. The companies are simply asking them to make the decisions.
I could tell me that every studio needs to run their live service game indefinitely or not want to run one at all, and no one's going to run them.
Oh no!
Yeah.
He wheeled out that line about publishers having to support the game forever. He was literally watching
Yeah,
the
a lot of people talked about that when it came out.
video earlier where it says it won't do that in big letters. That wasn't enough. We just can't stop gamers from going there, even when we spell it out.
That's the last clip I want to show from this section on the pirate software video. It is very simply asking that when the game has reached the end of its life cycle, the publishers, developers don't want to work on it any longer,
Vagueness is
to
keeping it
turn it over to the community to still be in a playable, accessible state so the product can still exist. There's some more nuance, obviously, to how that works given like publisher, developer licensing and a lot of like the code, the binary, that kind of thing. There is a lot at play.
I'm not sure if I agree that the company should have to relinquish the code. I'm not sure if I agree with that. I think that might go too far.
That is why Stop Killing Games is asking for an end-of-life plan.
I think that would be too much.
So during development, if the developers don't want to relinquish the code, they'll add a feature in the game that when the game is no longer supported, the developer publisher can shut down the servers, but still the game will run on the customer's computer without support from the developers.
One is for the UK to sign a government petition to bring this issue before Parliament. But keeping it real, I'm not terribly optimistic about this one, since the government response has been a mess by every definition. But the one that has a lot of power, so much so I think it could change the course of gaming history, is the European Citizens Initiative. I said I'm approaching this like a time traveler because of the trajectory we're on, these are both going to fail. Again, this one is crazy powerful, but the hurdle we just couldn't get past is that it requires 1 million signatures from citizens of EU countries. And we've only made it just under halfway. But what a lot of people don't realize is that in the EU especially, it's almost a state of lawlessness regarding the practice of game destruction. Is that the vast majority of games with an online...
I feel like this is the case everywhere. Like, it's kind of like an uncharted territory. Because like we're just now entering into the phase of live service products going into service. Or things that you buy through a license on the internet that disappear. Like really, it's kind of a new phenomenon. Because like in 1995, for example, you would rent, a VHS tape of fucking, I don't know, Ben-Hur from, what do you call it? I don't know, like a Blockbuster, that's the one. And like you would just take it and you take it back, right? It's very simple, it's easy to understand. Or you would buy the movie and then you could simply watch the movie when you would want. And so now you have all these complexities, and I don't think that the law has caught up to the culture around these complexities. That's fundamentally what the problem is that the technology has advanced way faster than the law has.
So they can be terminated at any time for any reason. Or Blizzard likes to say any or no reason. But according to the EU Commission, that might be a violation of Directive 93/13 EEC, which protects consumers against unfair terms in consumer contracts.
Yes. So this is again what I was saying. The idea that, you signed up for this, so it's okay, that's bullshit. That's not how it works.
If that term is unfair, that means that part of the contract is null and void.
He goes on to explain how powerful that can be because of what a mess that is. Because there's so much gray area with how the video games currently operate in regards to those protections, it would be a legal headache that would require an analysis of the laws or implementation of new laws that could lead to, hopefully, an improvement.
And that's the goal. But that's not something that anybody in this video would be able to do. This would have to be defined by people that have extensive understanding of copyright and IP law, and basically lawyers and politicians would have to come to this conclusion. The initiative is just simply to bring awareness to the issue. It's basically saying we have a problem, but it's not giving a solution.
Exactly.
So,
and the government will only,
million, and currently it's at like 460.
take action on the problem if the initiative gets 1 million signatures.
But that's just from the perspective of an American. In America, petitions are more worthless than toilet paper. You're better off just writing what you want on a note to Santa Claus and shipping it to the North Pole than you are doing anything with a petition in this country. I don't know how different it is in the EU. Maybe it really is this powerful there that could lead to...
I think it's very obvious that the European Union is more progressive about creating digital consumer protections. And I think that they are about probably 10 years ahead of the United States. And that's a good thing. So if it's going to happen anywhere, it will happen in the EU.
Substantial change and improvement.
And by the way, this is something that makes things better for everybody too. Because as soon as this is made available and made evident to everyone, then we can all see, hey, yeah, by the way, this is actually something that's very beneficial. This is something that's great. And also the companies, if enough countries have laws against these types of practices, then those types of practices become non-commercially viable. And as soon as that happens, that's whenever games change for everybody.
The games and preservation and all of what
EU again. I think EU does a really good job on this.
I mean, that's really all that's left for the Stop Killing Games initiative, which sucks, but that's the position that it's in, unfortunately. And I wanted to talk about it because I really want to see something change with the games industry. I've said that so many times recently, but it's in such a sorry state. I mean, I'm talking big budget AAA space. Indies, I think, are absolutely crushing it. Absolutely.
I think big budget AAA games right now are in a transitionary period. And it seems like also one of the big reasons why I think AAA gaming right now is suffering is because it's subjected to something that's very upsetting to someone who has monopoly, which is competition. When you have Chinese developers, Korean developers, and now Indian developers, and of course, obviously, you have some European developers. European is the West, but like again, like I'm talking primarily about America. You have people like Warhorse Studios that made Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, or you have it's not Sandbox, Sand something Interactive that made Expedition 33. So that's really what I think is happening. Is that you're having more of these companies come in and compete against the Sandfall. Yeah, there you go. Sandfall Interactive. You're having them compete against these traditional studios, and the traditional studios are just simply too big or too large to compete. That's what's
golden
happening
right now in the golden age of indie games. But overall, big budget games and the way the industry keeps pushing things, it sucks. So I wanted to talk about stop killing games here. Hopefully things can turn around and maybe a huge W's around the corner for the stop killing games initiative. We'll see. But anyway, I want to commend Ross for his hard work spearheading all of this for so long.
Ross has done a great job.
And that's really about it. So.
Yeah, no, I think this is definitely true, and I'm very glad to see this. I think this is it's a great thing, and I'll also link the petition so you guys can take a look at it as well.
Yeah, guys, if you want to watch the video without me talking over it, you can just go to Aspen Gold's YouTube channel and watch it there.
No, it's actually, I guess it's achieved a second win with this new conversation about it. And there's the thing right there. If you're a European citizen and you care about this issue, again, the solutions provided by stop killing.
It's right there, guys.
Might not
You can see it's almost
reasonable in the
at 600,000 signatures.
It's something that at least is a good start. Well, anyway, thanks time.
Look at that. It's 597. Let's go.
About this, everyone didn't want to watch the
Everyone in the EU, again, even if you're not in the EU, maybe you're in the US, you're in Brazil, you're in Japan. But if you know anyone in the EU, you have friends or families in the EU, let them know about this initiative and get them to sign it for you in your behalf.
Process. With the crew, okay, so I also harshly critique Ron Scott's wording in the videos because they disparage the lawmaking process and the lawmakers, which doesn't benefit players or movement anyway. Sure, that's fine. Now, I think this is all kind of beside the point, but sure. I mean, you're going to have a million debates and arguments about like what the right way to say things is. I can see why Pirate Software said this. Other people can see this tone policing. It's really not relevant. And so let's just move past this. Talk about potential scenarios where a studio could be abused if it was one that is written. Yeah, sure, right. And again, right, it's not a law.
The problem with Pirate Software is that he thinks it's a law. He thinks that what Stop Killing Games are asking are the actual law. No, it's not. It's a conversation starter. Again, my analogy with this is like you're the buyer, you're the seller, and you have the lawyer in the middle. The lawyer will draft the contract, and the contract, in this case, the government will be the lawyer, and the government will create the law. But the law will be acceptable to both parties. That's why it's going to be. I'm pretty sure they will have a hearing for this.
Let's go back over here.
Obviously, the game developers of the game industry will not agree to everything that Stop Killing Games is asking. There will be compromises. That is how politics work. Politics is all about compromises, which means compromises. Forgot the layman's term for compromises or compromise.
Consumer can produce or play this game themselves. And
there you go. Meeting at the middle.
It's totally morally and ethically justified to recreate abandonware on your own, because again, you're not taking money away from the publisher or the developer. The IP still applies. I don't care about that. I'm talking about the way I think it should be. Like, I think IP law in the U.S. is overly restrictive. I think it's overly restrictive. So I'm talking about the way that I think that it should be. I don't care how it is. I'm thinking about what is ethical in my view. I think that if you sell something and you are selling this as like a product, and then the product ceases to function, the person should either receive their money back, or they should have a tool to continue gaining the value out.
Also remember, guys, there are now appliances that connects to the internet, and if it doesn't connect to the internet, you can't use those appliances. It's so insane. And even if they can connect to the internet, the manufacturer can turn your appliances off or break your appliances.
Generally what my viewpoint on it is. That's called a guarantee policy. Yeah, exactly. Copyright's long, you should lose copyright if you don't provide the service anymore. It's ethical. Yeah, I think so too. And you could even have, like, I would be willing to compromise with a grace period. I would be willing to compromise with them, ensuring that the service will be back up within a period of time if they're making a remaster of it or something like that. Like, there are, and again, this is something that they have to figure out legally, because this is very complicated and very prickly legally. Of course it is. But I think that at its core and essence, this is something that I support. For this, games are hosting are all playable offline anyway, because they're game exclusive and only based on your player interaction. Oh, this is about Thor and what he's doing. He's working at like Blizzard. I was working at Blizzard. Okay. I've been working with Discord about it on stream. I never took my videos down, and I've not discussed the initiative in 10 months since they released the videos. So yeah, for those streams he's doubling down. Yes, I am. I don't give a shit about this initiative and what it means for games developers and players in the future. To finish out, sorry, I do give a shit. I misread, excuse me. Just because I don't support this doesn't mean you should blindly follow me and the pretty words on the internet. Yeah, just look it up and figure it out for yourself. And so, requires publishers to sell licensed video games customers, European Union, to leave said video games in a functional state, playable state. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot of extrapolation that's going to go into this, and a lot of assumptions that need to go into this. Either turn the IP over, customers shouldn't be able to make this is like I would say this for sure.
Guys, this is not hard to do. Again, I'm going to go back to Shadow of the Avatar. They already did it because during the development of the game,
not from your code,
having an offline mode was already part of the development plan. That is an example of an end-of-life plan. Obviously, it's going to be a case-to-case basis. Maybe other game developers doesn't want to go that route.
And so if you have a game,
but that is one route. And Shadow of the Avatar did it. It may be a failed game, but when it comes to, consumer rights, they did very well.
This is why you need a bunch of lawyers and people.
Although I'm not sure if the offline mode has been updated since, but still, the offline mode is there.
I know people are like, that's what Thor said. That's not what it's about.
Right now, Shadow of the Avatar is still online. It has a server. But with less than 100 players playing concurrently in Steam, it gets 20 to 30. Who knows? It might just shut down.
That's what makes sense. That's the first hurdle.
Anytime in the future, we don't know. But even if the server goes down, you can still play it as much as you want. In fact, I'm going to try playing the offline mode once.
Address the problem. It's not up to the initiative to be hyper-specific and use legal terms in order to explain this. Basically, they're not responsible for solving the problem, but they are responsible for identifying it. And that's basically it. Such a strong investor pays. They're mad at me for being a Victor Ross. I'm sorry for that. Developer side of things, constant people online for a decade. Online only. Movements like this showcase how little the general public understands about the game development, modern gaming architecture, and online games as a whole. Functional playable state and sunsetting argument responses diminishing the effort needed to do that. It's not a simple hurdle to overcome, which is why I don't like the initiative. Yeah, it's complicated. I mean, this is the thing, is that it's very obvious that this is a problem that video games have right now, and I think that this problem isn't really exclusive to video games. I think that it's true with all types of digital media. And right now we're in a very weird transitionary period where the world at large doesn't know what.
Also, guys, if you don't believe me, go to Steam, download Shadow of the Avatar. It's free. Install it and run it, and you will see that it has an online and offline mode.
And other people
They did it.
with physical media.
And they're not even a AAA gaming studio.
In the digital age is up for debate. And nobody has a definitive answer for this. Now, this is a problem that I think everybody agrees with, but that's it. You have to admit Pirate was misrepresenting. He was. Undoubtedly, he was misrepresenting. Right, there's a response never made. It doesn't mean that's the issue. Yeah, I think it's fair to criticize that. I mean, sure. Yeah, I support the initiative. So, I mean, obviously, there's disagreements and differences, but obviously, those differences and those disagreements are stated, right? So it's like, that's, yeah, for sure, definitely. I'm more personally concerned about user authentication. There has to be a source of truth for who owns the account. Do they continue to host the user database in the authentication server, or should everybody lose their data? It's not impossible. It's just not super simple. I think that the solution to that would probably be that at the end of service, the data would be transferred to a local account and then it could be uploaded to a community server. So basically,
Again, guys,
all of that.
if the initiative moves forward and it goes to the government,
In my mind, like, so
they will have a discussion to what is acceptable.
how to do it.
Maybe in the end,
The right option.
maybe in the
That
end,
would be like, if you're asking me in my head,
the thing that they agreed upon is, just having
wouldn't allow you physical ownership.
just have a login, a generic login, or maybe not even a login, and then have one map
Photoshop.
with your character running around. That could be a potential definition of a functional playable state, because again, they will have to discuss and find things that are acceptable to them, or agree to the things that are acceptable.
I mean, obviously, like, it's been kind of.
They will need to compromise. The consumer, gamers, and gaming developers, the seller.
And so, they told him that they thought that he might be there for 5 days. I mean, in my opinion, as long as there's a number of days that he's there, I'm happy. Like, not that, assuming he doesn't die there. Like, I mean, I'm just gonna say it. Like, that's what I'm worried about, because that's what happened on Mom. So that's what's in the back of my mind. That's what's stressing me out a lot. And so, hopefully, that's not what happens. I think the chances of that happening are low. They definitely exist, but they are low. As in, for COPD, he does have COPD. He does. And he's 78. He's not 108, right? Like, he's not super young. I mean, he is old, but he's not 100 years old. And so, hopefully they'll be able to do whatever they can. They're not religious, bro. I'm praying for your dad. I appreciate all of it, right? I mean, like, the way I look at it is, I pray for my mom all the time, and I'm not religious. But I say, hey, bro, there's a 1% chance. I've got how many 1% mounts? So, yeah, no, I do the same thing. I mean, you gotta do something, right? I mean, how else do you do? Like, what do you do? You leaving early today? Yeah, I'll be leaving early today and probably also tomorrow, and I don't know how long this is going to take, but, like, he doesn't have a lot of other family here, and so, it's like I've got to go over there and help him and everything, and that's just what it has to be. It's got to be me. And so, that's all there is to it. And so I'm going to keep trying.
I know you are wishing for the best to Aspen Gold's dad. It seems that there is some kind of medical emergency.
I guess I can chill off for like 10 more minutes or so. Fuck. Check endocarditis. My mom died as a complication treating pneumonia. Endocarditis. Yeah. I'll have to look and see that. Are you opposed to therapy to talk through some of this stuff? I mean, I don't think that this is a really. I don't think this is really a therapy situation. It's just simple.
Okay, so anyway, Aspen Gold is discussing about a current situation in his life. I don't think we need to continue listening to it, because it's I feel that it's very personal, but I do wish the best, and well, yeah, I don't think Aspen Gold is religious. I don't even think if he's a Christian, but still, prayers do wonders. Anyway, guys, if you guys want to watch the entire thing without me talking over it, all you have to do is go to Aspen Gold's channel on YouTube and watch it there, because the way I do my reactions, I would talk over the video. I don't like pausing videos. It just makes the entire thing longer, and I'm not going to pause the video just for the sake of pausing it and making the reaction longer. So guys, I guess that's it for the reaction for this video. Again, go to Aspen Gold's YouTube channel and give it a like, give it a subscribe. Oh my goodness. Honestly, Aspen Gold doesn't need the promotion. It's like it's like one of the biggest live streamers in the world. Okay, so be right back.
Wizbit says, are you thinking of buying a game? Please use my G2A affiliate link in the description below. Link, disclosure, I will get a commission from your purchase. Thank you.
Hi everyone, today I want to talk about the stop
And we're back. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so I'm going to try to speak very softly so that my voice will not crack. My voice cracks because of allergy. And the allergy is caused by cat hairs. And we have like a lot of cats. You'd think someone allergic to cats won't have any cats, but that was like maybe 4 years ago. Now we have a lot of cats. Fortunately, my allergic reaction is not that bad. It's not life-threatening. If a cat brush on my skin, I would get rashes. And if I guess cat hairs, if I suddenly inhale cat hairs, I would go into a coughing spree. And that is the reason why my voice is cracking right now. I went into a coughing spree. Fortunately, I got my voice because a few weeks ago, I literally don't have a voice. I couldn't speak at all. Anyway, welcome back to another reaction, and this time we're going to react to this video titled Game Preservation Crisis. So there is a crisis. The Stop Killing Games movement explained. And this is a video by Olive Badger. I have no idea who Olive Badger is, and this is my first time seeing her video. Well, it doesn't matter. I'm interested in what she has to say about Stop Killing Games, and I hope that she supports it, because destroying games is not a good thing. You know, maybe 20 years from now, games that we only playing today, if they still exist, we could introduce our grandkids to them, and maybe they will enjoy it. Who knows? Anyway, also, by the way, if you guys want to watch the video without me talking over it, all you have to do is go to Olive Badger's website. No, not website. Olive Badger's YouTube channel and watch it there. Okay, let's get to watching.
Hi everyone, today I want to talk about the Stop Killing Games initiative that's been making waves in the gaming community. There's been a lot of discussion around this and unfortunately some misinformation too, so let's break down what this initiative actually does, what it doesn't do, and why it matters for all of us as gamers. But before we dive in, I just want to clarify, I'm not a drama channel. I don't want to be a drama channel. I just want to clarify and clear up some points that I'm seeing going around the internet regarding the Stop Killing Games initiative. I also want to give you some context about my
discussing Stop Killing Games
for 5 years
is not drama. Yes, there is some kind of drama between a couple of personalities that
data center support to,
I guess you can say, discuss Stop Killing Games, but discussing Stop Killing Games itself is not drama.
Server maintenance and product lifecycle management. And despite understanding these specific challenges, I still strongly support this initiative. I feel that the positives far outweigh the negatives, and I'll explain why throughout this video.
Okay, I'm glad that
Alright, so first, let's address the elephant in the room. Some people have been saying that this initiative would force developers to keep game servers running forever, and that would
nope, that is a misinformation.
The initiative isn't asking for eternal server support or unlimited resources from
weaved by Pilot Software.
It's pretty reasonable. When a game is sold to consumers, especially games that require online connectivity to function, developers should have some responsibility to ensure that when they decide to shut down their servers, they provide a way for the game to remain playable. And this could include a lot of different solutions. It could be things like releasing server software, providing offline mode, or transition to some form of peer-to-peer functionality. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but what about the technical challenges? What about proprietary code?
Again, it's not that hard.
And the initiative acknowledges them. It's not.
If the end of life is a part of the development plan,
there are various technical solutions.
it's not hard because they already know to put that in.
Sensitive business information or compromising contracts that they might have.
It's hard
let's talk about why
on existing games because those games were
you're making a purchase with a reasonable expectation that you'll be able to play it, right? But right now, publishers can essentially render your purchase worthless by shutting down servers, even for single-player games that require online connectivity for no real technical reason. It's a lot like buying a car and having the manufacturer remotely disable it a few years later. Some critics argue that this would stifle innovation or hurt the games industry, but Consider this if you will. Requiring basic consumer protection hasn't hurt other industries in the past. In fact, it drives innovation. When companies know that they can't rely on planned obsolescence, they're incentivized to create better and more sustainable products. The initiative also isn't anti-developer or anti-business. Many developers actually support the idea of game preservation. They understand that their work is art and culture, not just a disposable product. Some have already started implementing these practices voluntarily, releasing tools and server software when they shut down official support. Now let's address the scope. This initiative specifically targets games that are sold as products but become unplayable due to server shutdowns. It's currently not about subscription services or free-play games because those terms are different. It's about purchase products that should reasonably continue to function. There's also the argument that some other smaller developers,
the gaming industry will change the language that they use. Instead of you buying, they will say that you are renting. For example, in Steam, you still have the buy button. Maybe in the future, to avoid stop killing games, they will change that to rent or license instead of buy.
Heritage in the present day. And when games become unplayable, we lose digital art, interaction stories, and innovative gameplay mechanics forever. And this isn't just about individual consumer rights, it's about preserving our medium's history for future generations to come. Now, some people worry about the legal implications or the enforcement. The initiative proposes reasonable, graduated responses. It's not about punitive measures for past action, but about establishing clear expectations for future releases.
Exactly. It's not hard to understand. I don't understand why private software, supposedly an intelligent person, is having a hard time understanding it.
The initiative recognizes that large-scale multiplayer experiences are very different from single-player games that just happen to require online activity. The goal isn't to force developers to maintain massive multiplayer servers indefinitely, but to ensure that when possible, some form of the game experience can continue. For example, Suicide Squad killed Justice League just announced that they are sunsetting their game, and they actually have an offline mode available, most likely going to be playing around the core campaign and not with the live service. The economic argument is important too. Right now, the lack of consumer protection actually enables some very predatory practices. Publishers can release games knowing that they'll shut them down in a few years, forcing players to buy newer versions. This creates a cycle where games are treated as disposable rather than long-lasting products. The gaming industry has somehow convinced consumers that paying full price for a product that might stop working is normal. Alright, so here's where my technical background really informs my opinion. The initiative isn't perfect. No legislation is. There are edge cases that doesn't fully address technical scenarios that might be challenging to implement and business models that might need to evolve. But
I think that we'll discuss during the creation of the legislation.
Are more than solvable. I've seen game developers argue that this would make game development too expensive or too complex, and maybe it would. But I've also seen what happens when an industry is forced to evolve its practices. The initial adjustment period is always difficult, but the long-term results usually benefit everyone. Better architecture, more sustainable business models, and higher quality products. I mean, from a technical standpoint, many solutions actually already exist. We've seen developers successfully transition games to community-run servers and release dedicated server software and implement offline modes. The technology isn't the barrier here; it's the business model and the legal framework. I mean, we have Docker and Kubernetes. This isn't impossible to do. It's just going to be difficult if you don't plan how you want to sunset your game up front. Now, let me put on my developer hat for a moment, if you know, and I'm going to address some of the technical concerns that I've seen raised. Yes, maintaining legacy systems is expensive. Yes, server costs add up over time. Yes, there are legitimate security concerns with releasing things like server binaries. But here's the thing: these aren't insurmountable problems. They're engineering challenges that we solve every day in the software industry. In my experience, the biggest technical hurdle isn't the complexity of the solution. It's that most game developers don't plan for end-of-life scenarios from the beginning. They will build games with the assumption that their servers will run forever, or at least until the game stops being profitable, at which time they just unplug the servers. But any experienced software developer will tell you that planning for deprecation and sunset scenarios is just good engineering practice. I've worked on enterprise software where we've had to maintain backward compatibility for systems that were 10 years old. I've helped design APIs that needed to gracefully handle version migrations and service discontinuation. These are solved problems in the broader software industry. The gaming industry just hasn't adopted these practices because, frankly, they haven't had to. If this initiative succeeds, it would fundamentally change how games are architected from day one. Developers would start their projects planning for end-of-life scenarios. They design their authentication systems to be easily movable.
That is why games that will be affected by stop killing games, if a law comes from it or created from it, are future games, not old games.
When regulations changed, when GDPR was introduced, it didn't kill the web. Instead, it forced developers to build better, more privacy-conscious systems from the ground up. For those who might not be familiar, GDPR stands for the General Data Protection Regulation. It's an EU law that came into effect in 2018, establishing strict rules about how companies can collect, store, and use personal data. Before GDPR, many websites and services were collecting massive amounts of your data without clear consent or transparency about how the data was being used or stored. When GDPR was announced, there was a lot of panic in the tech industry. Companies claimed it would be too expensive to comply, that it would stifle innovation, that smaller businesses wouldn't be able to handle the complexity. Sound familiar? But what actually happened was companies adapted. They built better data management systems, implemented clearer privacy controls, and became more transparent about their practices. And crucially, because the EU market is so large and important, these changes didn't stay confined to Europe. They became global standards. Ultimately, I believe the same principle would apply to game preservation laws if they get passed. The gaming industry ultimately would adapt, and the practices that emerge would likely become standard worldwide. We've already seen this pattern with hardware regulations too. You know the example I'm bringing up, right? The iPhone USB-C. This initiative also had broader implications for digital ownership. As more of our media becomes digital only, establishing the control that purchased digital goods should remain accessible becomes crucial. And this isn't just about games; it's about setting precedents for digital consumer rights, which honestly have been lacking so much. We need regulation and we need change. Now, I want to acknowledge that this isn't a simple issue with simple solutions. Okay, there are legitimate technical, business, and legal challenges, but the core principle is sound. When you sell someone a product, you should provide reasonable assurance that it will continue to function. The initiative also includes provisions for situations where preservation might not be feasible. It's not a blanket mandate that ignores reality. It's a framework that balances consumer rights with business practicalities. And let's be honest, it's not even law yet. It's just asking the EU address this. If we had this
I wish I was this articulate.
To higher game prices, but consider the current system, if you will. You buy a game at full price. It gets shut down a few years later. You have to buy.
There is a reason why they are better content creators.
Also force development companies to innovate and keep.
They are very good at it.
The community response to the initiative has been overwhelmingly positive from actual gamers, which tells us something important. The people who actually play these games do understand the value of preservation and consumer protection. I've noticed that resistance mainly comes from corporate interests who benefit from the current system, or sometimes game developers that maybe haven't worked.
And resistance also comes to simps of those game developers.
And environments around them. What's particularly interesting from a developer perspective is seeing how different studios have responded to this initiative. Some of these smaller, more technically minded studios have actually embraced the principles already, meaning it's not impossible. They're starting to document their server architecture, plan for community handoffs, and design games with preservation in mind from the beginning. And those are the studios that I want to support. Don't take it from me. Let me give you some concrete examples. Take Heroic Labs and their Nakama open source game server framework. They've deliberately built their technology as open source under the Apache 2.0 license specifically, so developers gain ownership over their technology stack. And that's exactly the kind of forward-thinking approach that the Stop Killing Games initiative is trying to encourage across the industry. If you own the stack, you have less outside resources and outside influence that you have to keep in mind by trying to decouple or inside work. Then you have community-run servers treating classic MMOs alive long after their official servers were shut down. These projects exist because dedicated fans reverse engineer the server software, exactly the kind of thing that would be much easier if developers planned it from the beginning and even encouraged and allowed the community to act in such a way after the game has since that. There's also the recent, Miracle with City of Heroes. That game was shut down in 2012, but fans kept private servers running for years. And then in 2024, something incredible happened. NCSoft, the original developer, officially licensed the game to the Open Community server. They essentially said, here, you can take care of it now. And the fans who preserving the game were rewarded for their dedication, and now the game not only continues to exist, but it's actually getting new content supported by the community. Meanwhile, some of the larger publishers...
Exactly. I have a City of Heroes installed, although I haven't played it for a while, but it's installed, and if I want to play it, I can.
Security is a big deal, but it kind of seems to feel like a cop-out. They'll even argue that maintaining compatibility is too expensive, while simultaneously maintaining backward compatibility for their profitable franchises. Remember, if asking them to maintain compatibility, that would ultimately be up to the community or
exactly.
the decides to outline the creator. On the flip side, you have companies like God that have built their entire business model around game preservation. They've invested 15 years of development into a custom-directed developer that ensures the whole game work on modern systems. Mod preservation program actively fixes compatibility issues and maintains games that would otherwise be lost. And doing this properly, preservation isn't just good for consumers; it's good for business. And the contrast is telling. Companies that embrace
also everyone should
practices and
what do this
right
every code instance, carve the codes instance, because that way all the codes will exist in the future, will be accessible in the future, just in case stupid governments starts wars or something like that.
Also learned from my time in software development, developers generally want their code to last. I don't know about you, but I don't write code hoping that it'll be thrown away in 2 years. Iterate it out maybe, but ultimately I want to build things that people will use and enjoy for years to come. The push for planned obsolescence usually comes from business decisions, not technical limitations. So let's talk about precedent that this sets. If we establish that digital products should have some durability expectation, it can protect us from more aggressive forms of planned obsolescence in the future. It's not just about games, it's about the principle that when you buy something, you should own it in a meaningful way. Looking at the bigger picture, this is part of a broader movement toward digital rights and consumer protection in the modern economy. As digital goods become more and more prevalent, we desperately need frameworks that protect consumers while still allowing businesses to innovate and profit. From my experience in the software industry, I can tell you that regulation often drives innovation rather than stifling it. But we had to comply with disability standards. We didn't just grudgingly add screen readers for it. I mean, obviously some people did, but we ended up building better, more inclusive interfaces that benefited everyone. When privacy regulations came to effect, we didn't just add cookie banners. Again, some developers did, but most redesigned data architectures to be more secure and efficient. Like I said, it's not just about software. We've seen the power in hardware too. I mean, just remember when Apple insisted they couldn't possibly switch the iPhone to USB-C, they argued that Lightning was superior and that the change would be too disruptive and it would hurt innovation. But the EU passed legislation requiring a college charging standard, and suddenly Apple found ways to make USB-C work beautifully on the iPhone 15. Not only did they make it work, but they actually improved the user experience with faster charging and data.
In other words, Apple was lying.
Made the technology better. Here's the key point that often gets missed in discussions about the Stop Killing Games initiative. Apple wasn't required to retroactively retrofit USB-C into every iPhone ever made. They weren't forced to recall the iPhone 14 and physically replace the Lightning ports. The regulation applied to future products moving forward. The same principle would apply to game preservation laws. Existing games would need to be retroactively fixed, but new games would need to be designed with an end-of-life plan from the start.
But private software.
The point is, when companies are forced to meet higher standards, they don't just grudgingly comply. They often end up creating better products to be more competitive within the market. The iPhone with USB-C isn't a compromised version of what Apple wanted to build. It's actually better for consumers than what we had before, and protected the consumer from predatory practices. The same principle applies here. Yes, game developers would need to change how they approach architecture and project planning, but the result would be more robust, more sustainable games that hopefully provide better value to consumers. And frankly, as someone who's worked on legacy systems, I can tell you that planning for long-term maintainability from the beginning is always cheaper and better and more efficient than trying to retrofit later. Yes, I get it. Things happen. You're going to have to go back and update things, but starting from the beginning with a plan is going to make it so much better. Now, I want to address one more technical point that I keep seeing in discussions. Some developers argue that security implications of releasing server software is too risky, and I get it. As someone who's worked with both public-facing and internal systems, I completely understand the concern. But let's be real here. It's not an insurmountable problem. You can spread out authentication systems, remove database connection constraints, and even sandbox and networking components. You can provide containerized versions that limit system access. These are standard practices in the software industry already. I mean, again, Docker or Kubernetes, these things exist. It's just not currently being used in the game space. Ultimately, I believe the Stop Killing Games initiative represents a very balanced approach to these challenges. I don't feel like it's anti-business or unreasonably demanding. It's asking for basic consumer protections that we take for granted in other industries. So here's where you come in. This is crucial. None of this happens if they don't get to the signature. The Stop Killing Games initiative needs to reach a specific threshold of signatures to be taken seriously by EU lawmakers. Without those signatures, all of our discussion about technical feasibility, consumer rights, and industry practices are just theoretical. Because it's not a law right now. It's just asking the EU to look and address this concern.
Again, the way private software is, tackling or discussing Stop Killing Games is like there's already a law. No, there is no law yet.
And falling short means the proposal doesn't move forward regardless how good the idea is. Now me, I'm not in the EU. I am in America. And if you're like me, you can still support the movement by raising awareness, contacting your local representatives, not much America, but at least it's something, and support developers who already
if you know anyone, if you're not in the EU but you know someone in the ask them to sign the petition or the initiative for you.
Beyond just the EU regulation. Again, major game publishers are going to maintain completely different development processes for different games. If EU law requires games to be designed with end-of-life planning, that standard will likely become global. This is a big deal here. The EU has some of the strongest consumer protection laws. They are our biggest hope right now. But guys, this is our chance to have a real impact on how the game industry operates moving forward. I'm so tired of getting digged around, and the window for citizen input is limited. Once it closes, and you just get digged around by big corporations forever. I really, really do. This isn't about being anti-developer or anti-innovation or anti-indie studio.
In fact, it's pro-innovation because now you need to innovate. Having an end-of-life plan integrated into your game design is an innovation.
And again, as someone who works in the industry,
and they can even improve it, maybe find new ways of implementing an end-of-life service or an end-of-life feature.
We can have a sustainable consumer-friendly industry that still allows for innovation and profit, but it requires us to speak up and demand better. And most importantly, it requires us to participate in the democratic process when we have the opportunity. Maybe getting a little long-winded here, I know, but just to hammer it home, the technical challenges are solvable. The business models can adapt. The legal framework can and will be refined, but none of that matters if the initiative doesn't get enough signatures to move forward. So if you're eligible to sign, please do it today. If you're not, please share this information and support the movement however you can. Anyway, thanks for listening to my long-winded rant, and thank you for watching. Let's keep this conversation going in the comments below. Do you agree with the initiative? Do you agree with myself?
Of course. Because the initiative makes sense.
Do you not agree with the initiative? Also, I will go ahead and link to Stop Killing Games initiative. You can do some research on your own. I encourage you to research it on your own. And I'll link to the petition. If you are in the EU, you can go ahead and sign that. Anyway, thanks so much for your time.
Okay, that was all of Badger's, opinion. Her take on Stop Killing Games, and fortunately, she approves of Stop Killing Games. Anyway, guys, if you want to watch the entire video without someone talking over it, just go to Olive Badger in YouTube. It's right there. And before you take a break, let's take a look at Stop Killing Games. As you can see, the signature is now at 5,000 and 5,000, Okay, I'm going to do a refresh.
Use my G2 affiliate link in the description below. Link disclosure.
Okay, still at 598,000, but 500 new signatures were added. Okay, this is very, very close to 600,000. Let's get to 600,000, and then 700,000, then 800,000, 900,000, and then 1 million. Oh my goodness, this is gonna be a very long struggle. but it is a worthy struggle. Okay guys, be right back.
Co-3 Abbott says, visit Kabalyero office KO5 page at link.
Alright folks, so recently I started doing a little bit of research on the stop killing games movement. I've known it was a thing, I kind of read up on it, I supported it from a distance, wasn't really active in it, but naturally in past years, a lot more traction with a lot more YouTube.
These guys, this is like 3 hours long, or maybe 4. I'm going to end the stream here because I'm getting. These guys, I'm going to end the stream here because I just got a network error in Twitch. Hopefully it's still being, it's still live for others, but for me, all I see is the network error message. Please reload, and then there's a button that says please reload. I tried, and I tried reloading it by clicking on the button. It didn't work. So guys, as always, thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye for now.